Are you looking for a better pumpkin spice syrup for your latte? Here is the recipe. You need 300 grams of pumpkin, 250 grams of water, 250 grams of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of ground ginger, half tablespoon of ground nutmeg, and half tablespoon of ground cloves. With this quantity of ingredients, you can fill a container of 300 ml. If you want to make more or less syrup, you just need to increase or reduce the quantity, but keeping the same proportion. Now let's start with cooking the pumpkin in the oven. Try to cut the chunks more regularly as possible to get a uniform cooking. I place the chunks on a tray with parchment paper. I set the oven on convection at 190 degrees Celsius or 374 Fahrenheit for around 20 minutes. It's important to get our pumpkin cooked but not burnt, otherwise this will bring bitter flavor in our syrup. After 20 minutes you should get the pumpkin soft like this. If it's not enough, bring it back in the oven for a few more minutes. But if you see that before the 20 minutes it starts to get a bit burnt on the edge, reduce the oven heat. Once the pumpkin is ready, blend it with the water, making it a smooth mix. Then place it on the stove and cook it at low heat. In this way, we extract the pumpkin flavor. Cook it until it starts to boil, and then you can decide if you want to keep the pumpkin bits or if you want to remove them. I usually prefer to remove them, and I use a strainer to do so. The water will keep the pumpkin flavor for our syrup. And for the bits, you don't have to throw it away. You can use it for something else, like, I don't know, a pumpkin pie or a risotto. Of course, if you prefer, you can keep the bits in your syrup, and in this way you will get an extra pumpkin flavor in your latte. Once you finish the separation, place the liquid back on the stove, always at low heat. Now add half of the total amount of sugar. Here you need to constantly stir to make sure the sugar will melt properly but without caramelize. Once the first half of the sugar melted, add the second half. Again, continue to stir until all melted. Once everything melted, add the spices, all together but slowly. And this while you continue stirring. The smell is already amazing. Once all the spices are in, cook it for 10 minutes. This will incorporate the spices into the mix and it will reduce the syrup. If it starts to boil, remove the pot from the stove and continue to stir. It's important to avoid the caramelization of the sugar to avoid bitterness in our pumpkin spice syrup. If you prefer your syrup extra thick, you can continue to reduce it for another 2-3 minutes. Otherwise, turn off the heat, continue to stir for a couple of minutes and then let it cool down. You can help the cooling process by stirring the syrup every couple of minutes. Once it's cold, place it in the container, and here you can use any bottle you have or you want. Then I always label it and I add the date to keep track of the shelf life. I usually keep it for a month in the cupboard, if it lasts. The sugar and the spices will preserve the syrup from going bad. And your amazing homemade pumpkin spice syrup is ready. Now you can make a great pumpkin spice latte whenever you want with your favorite coffee and milk. Now some troubleshooting. If you see that your syrup is a bit too liquid, place it back on the stove and cook it for a few more minutes to reduce the water. If it's too thick, add some more water little by little until you get the right thickness. If you want it sweeter but keeping the same flavors, you can add more sugar. Usually 50 grams is enough. Perfect. Now it's time you enjoy your coffee. I would like it if you share with me your favorite pumpkin spice latte recipe. And let me know if you're already making your syrup at home. If there is a chance for me to improve my recipe, I would love to hear your suggestions. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos, and in the meantime I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao!